Aren't you glad they don't play elevator music on airplanes?
Oh, thank goodness. Music.
We're off to California to look into a few things. The Ventura, Santa Barbara area, to be specific.
Or Pacific.
The Pacific. And while we were in Ventura, we dropped in on our favorite attorney just to get some contracts drawn up. That would be Perry Masson.
Oh.
We also looked at some trains.
Yes.
So it's all right here on a Tuesday show. The old SP line runs right up the beach here.
It does.
And it is so pretty. And the old SP Daylight used to come up through here. So we had to ride the Coast Starlight by Amtrak and the Surfliner. So this is actually us riding the Surfliner. We were delayed by about half a day because there was a derailment in Oxnard.
Oxnard.
I like saying Oxnard. It's just a funny name.
So did your mom.
Yeah.
She liked to say it too.
Well, she said it sounded like bull testicles, but that's another story. We were actually scouting locations to film The Big Boy before Ed told us he's not coming this way. But we still had fun riding the train, even if The Big Boy won't be coming up this track anytime soon. But at some point it will. But Ventura is just a beautiful, wonderful town to hang out in. I lived here for quite some time, so I should know.
Exactly.
Now, Ventura has a long history with the oil boom starting back in the 1920s and so on. But one of the more interesting things, I think, that I ever stumbled across here when I was living here was Perry Masson's law office.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I mean, how many people know that this was Perry Masson's law office? But right here, right across the street from the Ventura Inn, is Perry Masson's law office, right in this building.
Oh, my.
Now, of course, there was no actual Perry Masson. There was Erle Stanley Gardner.
Erle Stanley Gardner?
Erle Stanley Gardner. And he said Perry Masson was his alter ego.
Oh.
But he was a real live attorney, and he worked on the third floor of this building. And I don't know if he was a great attorney because he had a lot of free time on his hands.
It seems so.
So he started writing Perry Masson novels in his off time. Ended up being the most prolific writer ever.
Oh, wow.
And then all these little short stories were turned into episodes for the Perry Masson TV show, which we know and love so much.
Right.
So the real name of the building is the First National Bank Building, but everybody refers to it as the Gardner Building for the obvious reason. Now, I just loved Perry Masson. How about you?
I did, but not Mr. Berger.
Well, he was supposed to be a jerk. That was his job.
Yeah.
I would build models. I had a card table set up in front of the TV, and I'd watch Perry Masson, the news, and then Dick Cavett. Wonderfully campy Perry Masson shows.
I watched him. I was supposed to be asleep.
Oh, well, you were a bit younger than I.
I was a bit younger,
yes.
but I was awake watching it. My parents thought I was asleep.
Well, anyway, the very first one was called The Case of the Velvet Claws.
Oh, my.
And from that point on, every one of them was the case of the something or other. But the case of the Velvet Claws takes place right here in Ventura, of course, and the murder happens right here at the Pierpont Inn. A friend of mine lived in here, P.F. Bentley.
He did?
Yeah, he was a photographer, and anyway, long story. But Erle Stanley Gardner went on to write the case of the this, the case of the that, and the case of the other thing. I don't even, it's like 100, 150. I don't know how many of these he wrote. Now, later on, he moved the venue to Los Angeles. He moved himself to Los Angeles, too. But that works a lot better for the TV show. I don't think it would have played quite as well if it was in Ventura instead of Los Angeles. It's really a great old building, built around the 1920s or so, and built as part of the great oil boom when that was going on here, and a lot of law offices and business offices, and then First National Bank on the ground floor. What do you think? The current owners have tried to preserve something of the character of the building so that you really get a sense of what this was like when Erle Stanley Gardner and the Gardner Law Office were here. I love the old patina on the brass here.
Oh, just touching it. Think of all the hands that would have gone up through history.
Such just great history. Yeah. I love it. And of course, we ventured up to the 3rd floor, and that second door on the right was Erle Stanley Gardner's little office. Therefore, Perry Masson's office. He said he actually based Perry Masson's office, the descriptions for that, on his own office up there.
That's neat.
And, well, the bank is now one of the local watering holes. Apparently it was something of a local watering hole even when it was a bank. It had a secret party room upstairs.
Oh, my.
And they would entertain potential investors in that area up above that you can see up there, that mezzanine level. And it had a secret stairway right here that led up to the secret party room.
Ooh, how
for
fun.
the high-powered investors. So, of course, we joined friends over some drinks here and reminisced about old times. But how fun was that?
That was a blast.
What a cool trip, and what a fun and interesting place Ventura is.
It even says so in the middle of the road.
That's right. And here we have the famous blue subscribe button. Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We sure hope you didn't find it boring. Perry Masson's not boring.
No.
And we will see you here on Sunday.
See ya.